we go. And there we go.
We made it.
There's our little welcome sign. We're live. It's episode 1.
Yes. We actually the turnaround on that was impeccable, actually, because we put this as a concept about 3 weeks ago, right?
It really wasn't that long ago, no. And then in the space of a week, we did 2 test runs, and now we're doing the real thing.
Here we are. We have 3 main topics to talk about. But first, we're gonna sort of talk about us because we're self-centered bastards.
It's true, we really are. Every single night, I take this mask off and I just stare at the mirror for a whole hour.
I mean, this room is dedicated to Star Wars, but the rest of my house is just me. So.
Well, I don't have a Star Wars room, I have a Star Wars shelf, and that's about it.
Yeah, but it's a pretty badass Star Wars shelf, bro. You got Bane's saber on there. It's pretty good.
I do. There it is back there, next to a wonderful background of the greatest video game trailers ever.
Indeed. Did you take the clone clip out of there? Or is it still going to show Deceived twice?
Oh, no, I took that out after the first test run.
Nice.
Right. So, I feel like we should start with you, because you're the one streaming it for a start off. Who are you, first of all, even though I already know that? Who are you? And in terms of how did you, in particular, Mr. Standout Steel, get into Star Wars? Because I don't actually know this, I don't think. I don't think you've told me this.
So, for me, there was never really an entry into Star Wars that I can remember, because that entry was just from birth. I mean, my mum named me after a Star Wars character. My birth name was Luke. I've since become Lucas, or Standout Steel to the people on the internet. But, you know, Star Wars has always been there, man. Like, my mum was a big fan, and there was never a time that it wasn't just on the TV or, like, around me, or like toys was just like being shoved in my face, like, oh, he'll love this, and there was never a time where that didn't happen. So I mean, I remember distinctly getting my first bunch of figures that was mine, like gifted to me for Christmas. It must have been 1998, going into the Phantom Menace year. That's as close to an entry point as I really remember.
You've also just revealed to the internet that you're an old man.
Well, I'm still in my 20s for a little bit longer, bro. Still in my 20s.
Same here.
You are a baby. That's the difference.
Yeah, I wasn't even at the time. The thing about this, at the time you became a Star Wars fan, I wasn't even born. I was 4 years away from being born.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy, man.
It really is. I was born a few months after Attack of the Clones came out.
And that's why you don't like Attack of the Clones, because it's not made for your generation.
Yeah, clearly not. Oh, we're going to have to dedicate a whole episode to my hatred of Attack of the Clones. I really don't like it. But,
yeah, we'll do that on the same episode as we debate Book of Boba Fett, and then it's going to get tasty.
Oh, that's going to get heated. But obviously, as well, you've got your Star Wars room as well. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's right behind you. And did you? Hopefully, this isn't like a personal question. Did you meet your wife because of Star Wars?
No, I actually introduced my wife to Star Wars about 9 years ago, and then she absolutely fell in love with it. Yeah. She cried at the end of Return of the Jedi. Then I knew I had her.
Yes.
And this was right as the Force Awakens was set to come out. Oh no, this was just after the Force Awakens was released, and she'd sort of she'd become interested because she saw my hype around the film and stuff, and she wanted to give it a try. Showed her the original trilogy, and the rest is history. Now she's a collector as well as I am, and you can see her dolls on the top shelf here.
Yeah.
And there's pockets of this collection that are hers, really. But it all fits together as our Star Wars room.
See, what I'm wondering as well is because I have a similar story to this, minus the fact that this person's not my partner or whatever. When you showed your wife Star Wars, did she know about I Am Your Father?
That's a good question.
Because I had the distinct honour of last year. I showed one of my best friends Star Wars, but she knew nothing about Star Wars, absolutely nothing. And I got her reaction to I Am Your Father on video.
Wow.
That was really she didn't actually think it was true. She was in denial for a good 10 minutes after that.
I think a lot of people was back in 1980 as well with that scene. I think the question coming out of it was, is he telling the truth, wasn't it? Like,
well, yeah, because Luke had the same question in Jedi. He has to ask Yoda, is Darth Vader my father?
Exactly, yeah. And if anyone's going to deceive him, it would be the ultimate evil in the galaxy.
Exactly. If anyone was going to lie, it would be the main villain.
Yeah, the big bad, of course. Yeah. I actually think I'm racking my brain now, and I think she did know about it, with it just being like a pop culture, sort of like baseline knowledge at this point, isn't it?
Even my dad, my dad does like Star Wars, but he's not a hardcore fan or anything. Even before he ever saw the films, he was aware of I Am Your Father, and he'd never seen them. And he wasn't someone on like the internet either.
Yeah, for a lot of people, I think that's entry point shit. Like, you know that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's dad, and if that's all you know about Star Wars, you know that. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. But
I'm pretty sure she did. I'm pretty sure she did know that. It didn't ruin it for her at all, though. And also, what was really interesting at the end of Return of the Jedi, it was obviously the newer special edition versions that we watched, and she recognized, without knowing Hayden Christensen at the time, she recognized that as Anakin, like without a doubt. She never had to ask or anything. She knew what she was looking at. She knew she was looking at a younger version of Luke's father. And I thought that was really interesting. I remember thinking that, like, I asked her about it. I said, "Did you know straight away who that was that he was seeing?" And she said, "Yeah, that was Vader, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." Like, I love that to speak for itself.
I remember, obviously, in the original version, it's Sebastian Shaw. And I remember one of the reasons I hear people say that they don't like that it's Hayden is that with the original version, audiences would go like, "Wait, who's that? Oh my God, it's Darth Vader." But obviously, clearly that's not the case because your wife figured it out when it wasn't Sebastian Shaw.
Well, the thing is, Sebastian Shaw as a Force Ghost looks absolutely fuck all nothing like Sebastian Shaw as a crusty, pale old bald guy dying in the Vader suit. It still doesn't look like...
But in the original, he still has his eyebrows, so that helps a little bit.
True. Fuck knows why George took away the eyebrow, but I support
George's argument for that makes no. We're going to have to do like an episode just on the special editions because there's stuff in them that I like. There's stuff in them that I really don't like.
Exactly.
And I feel like George's justifications for some of the changes that, like, I've heard that his reasoning for changing Anakin is like, oh well, that was when he was hidden. That was the last time that Anakin was good. That's Kermit the Frog. That's not George Lucas. But his justification is like, that's the last time Anakin was good. No, the last time Anakin was good is when he picked up the Emperor and fucking yeeted him over the Death Star rail.
That's very
true. That doesn't really track. Like, his justification doesn't make sense.
Hello there, Dark Warrior.
Oh, hello
Good
there.
to see you in here, bro. Good to see you in here. I expected to see you in here, to be fair. He's a constant supporter.
I see him all the time in comments.
I think he's a sort of ride or die sort of follower that you love to see.
Yeah.
It's always there. Um,
It was cool knowing how you got into Star Wars, though, because I didn't know. And I didn't know that your wife wasn't a fan before either.
no, she wasn't.
I
In
was not
fact,
aware.
let me share a story with you right now.
Oh,
Um,
sorry.
in the very early days of us getting to know each other, I wasn't secretive with my fandom, like that's impossible for me. But in the really early days, you choose when you should bring things up and stuff, and I knew obviously that Star Wars was a massive part of my life, and eventually telling her that and letting her into that side of myself would be a big deal for me, and how she adapts to that. And I didn't know if she was a fan or not, or if she liked the movies even, or even knew anything about it. But she'd actually mentioned Star Wars in like a, if I can paraphrase what she said, she was like, "Oh, I like this sort of movie, not like fucking Star Wars." And
Oh,
I remember recoiling and
I bet
sitting
it would
back
have
in
been
my
like,
seat.
you know, in episode 3 when Yoda filled Order 66 and he dropped his
Yeah.
cane.
I remember just taking a moment and thinking, "Oh, that's going to be a problem."
Yeah.
And then I just thought, I'll let that slip for now, but we're going to have to circle back around to that one.
So you're the exact, going back to what you said about like being ride or die, typically the first thing I ask a woman is, do you like Star Wars?
Yeah.
Which is also
Yeah.
probably why I'm single.
I mean, she was, yeah, she was cool in every aspect except for that one. So I thought, I can change her. Do you know what I mean? We can get past
It's like your version
So,
of when people say, I can fix her.
yeah. When The Force Awakens was that hype train was fucking running wild, that was a perfect,
I remember. I
that was a
remember.
perfect segue to get her in, and then she asked about it, and it just fell into place really. And now we've been to celebrations together, conventions together, we've met Hayden together. Honestly, it's just being a Star Wars fan is so much cooler with her than it was
Yeah.
before.
It's literally just everything fell into place as it should by the will of the Force.
Moving on to you anyway, Rev. Tell me your story, bro, because I don't think I know yours either.
Mine's really disjointed because so the way I got introduced to Star Wars was I was 3. So I've been a Star Wars fan for nearly 20 years at this point, which is very mental to say out loud. I can't remember the full context of it, but my mum, my sisters, and my nan or grandma or whatever, they went to go and see something live, whether it, I don't know, the fucking ballet or Nutcracker or something shit. And my dad didn't live anywhere near us at that point, so she was like, oh shit, I'll just ring my brother. So my uncle came over instead, and he bought over I don't know if he bought like the box set over or just episode 4, but he was like, right, just to basically, in other words, just to shut you up for the night, potentially, I'll just show you what Star Wars is. And I don't necessarily remember my first viewing of it, but what I do remember is after episode 4 finished, I begged him to let me watch the next one, and he said no, and I was crying because he was like, no, they're really long films, you need to go to bed.
Right, so
And
it
I was
wasn't
like,
stopping you from watching the sequel in general, it was just stopping you from watching it right now.
yeah, he was like, we'll do it another time, but it's like 10 o'clock, you need to go to bed. But after that, I don't really have any memories of, like, I don't remember my reaction to I Am Your Father. I don't remember my reaction to the prequels or Return of the Jedi or what. I just don't really remember. And at this point, my earliest memory of all the other ones is Lego Star Wars, which came out years after, I think, or at least Complete Saga did.
Yeah.
So I really don't remember what my well, realistically, I don't really remember my first viewing of A New Hope either, because obviously I was a toddler pretty much. But obviously, I was a Star Wars fan for years and years, and then like a lot of fans did, because I'll obviously be completely honest, I wasn't the biggest fan of specifically 8 and 9, and I was just sort of like, you know what, like I think I'm done with this. Like if this is the direction it's going to go, I'm not really fussed anymore. Obviously, I did what a lot of people still refuse to do, and I grew up. But
A lot of people refusing to do that.
But eventually, what happened was the reason I got back into Star Wars was because I did watch The Mandalorian, and I loved The Mandalorian Season 1. Still one of the best projects of the last 10 years, I think. But Hasbro announced that they were doing the Revan lightsaber. And I'd heard of Revan before. I knew about the because I'd seen the trailers of the MMO. And all I knew is that Revan was a Sith Lord from the Old Republic and he had a purple lightsaber. That's all I knew. But when they announced this Hulk specifically, I wanted it so badly because it looked as badass as it did. And I was like, okay, but I don't want to spend £200 on something if it's a character that I don't like. That's sort of how my brain operates. So I was like, okay, I'll look into it. So I did. And then I think I've made a video about this before where basically just became my whole person. Like, obviously, it's not very clear, but out of everything on my shelf, most of it is just Revan stuff. Most of it is just because the way I sort of tell it to people is that Knights of the Old Republic in particular sort of saved my love of Star Wars for a long time.
That's what I was going to ask you.
The way I describe it to people is learning about Revan and the Old Republic and KOTOR. It was like watching A New Hope for the first time again. It really did feel like I'd entered that galaxy for the first time again. And then it eventually just developed into me, obviously, wanting to make content around Revan. And then eventually, I eased up on Disney and I watched their other stuff. And now I watch a lot more of the Disney stuff than I do now. But even then, because when I initially started out with the Old Republic, it was basically just KOTOR 1 and 2 for me, and that was it. I didn't really care. Whereas now, obviously back there, it's not visible on camera. But beneath those books and that lightsaber is Tales of the Jedi. And I absolutely adore Tales of the Jedi. I think I've said to you before, I adore Tales of the Jedi. I think it's amazing. But it really is, for me, just... I love the original trilogy still. I love Episode 1 and Episode 3. Andor, I thought was incredible as well. There's multiple games that I like. And obviously, the original trilogy will always be that crucial starting point that I absolutely adored. But for me, the real... or at least my real love towards Star Wars and everything like that, it is the Old Republic. It's not even close. To me, that is...
You don't say.
The best. Well, yeah, it is obvious, but to me, that is the peak of Star Wars. It's not even close. KOTOR 2, in particular, I say this to everyone, I think KOTOR 2 is the greatest Star Wars story. I think it is absolutely... as a story, it's near flawless, I think.
The thing is with that era is it stands so well on its own that if the Old Republic era is all that Star Wars was, I still think it would be a phenomenon. Do you know what I mean?
I think it would be a phenomenon in the sense that it would be sort of like... It would be like a mainstay in pop culture, but it wouldn't be as big as something like Marvel.
Yeah.
Like it is right now, but it would be like Dungeons and Dragons, I think.
Yes, and I was going to say Warhammer. So we're on the same page there. That sort of niche, but with a massive following of passionate fans. KOTOR, if that's what Star Wars was, would have that. I feel like the Skywalker story is what pushes it into the mainstream, and obviously that's what came first, and that's what happened. But I feel like that, like meat and potatoes story, and how simple the story is of the hero's journey of Luke Skywalker, I feel like that's what makes it such a phenomenon. But KOTOR is, I mean, if you're looking for a new flavor of Star Wars, that's the one, isn't it? Let's be honest.
I'll go an extra step further. If you want a new flavor of Star Wars with some spice added to it, read Tales of the Jedi, because as different as KOTOR is, and SWTOR in particular has, I think it's fine in KOTOR. In SWTOR, I think it's a problem. it is still very recognizable as Star Wars. The troops look like they're from Star Wars. The ships look like they're from Star. I think with SWTOR, it looks too much like the OT. But if you show like someone who's only ever seen the movies, Tales of the Jedi, it's fucking wacky. It's absolutely, there's Sith spirits and magic amulets and
oh yeah, it's insane. Like
monsters that poison Jedi. It's, I don't want to say ridiculous, but compared to the movies, it is like people think that Palpatine shooting Force lightning out of his hands is crazy. Some of the stuff that happens in Tales of the Jedi is weird.
Well, people talk all the time about the contrast between the jarring contrast of the original trilogy and the prequels.
Yeah.
But the Old Republic goes even further than that, really. Like as far as into the mystical side of Star Wars. I mean, we're talking about an era where Jedi and Sith are by the 1,000 in every star system.
That's another thing to me. I am a Sith fanboy. I think if ever I had to just dedicate myself to like learn Star Wars, for me it's always gonna be. That's the reason the Old Republic is my favourite of the stories. That to me, when narratively the Sith are at their peak, because there's so many, and I just love don't get me wrong, I love the Rule of Two stuff, thanks to obviously Bane, but I love the idea of there just being 1,000 Jedi and 1,000 Sith that just beat the shit out of each other. It's so much more fun.
Do you know who has a really underrated character design?
Go on.
Darth Vindican.
I agree, although he looks a little bit like Revan.
He does. He looks a lot like Revan. He's clearly like the character design is inspired by that, isn't it? Because wasn't that trailer for SWTOR the introduction into that game?
I think back in the day it was, yeah. I think back when it came out, it probably was, because that trailer and Hope, which is set on Alderaan, they take place before the campaign because Malgus doesn't have the respirator.
That's right, yeah. And I think what they was trying to do was they was trying to give you an immediate link that this is the Sith of that same or similar era. Do you know what I mean? So they sort of made him Revan-esque.
Yeah, because he's got like the belt and he doesn't look. It's like but then again, I think Revan in the MMO doesn't really look like Revan, and I don't really like Revan's design in that game. But I think if you look at Vindican, just looks like Revan with a grate over his head.
On the subject of SWTOR,
I
said to you that I was going to show you Vandar in SWTOR.
Yes, Vandar in SWTOR. I want to see how jacked he is.
Yeah, before we went live, for a bit of context here, we was talking about Master Vandar and his small appearance in I think it's the Jedi Consular arc in the Old Republic.
Yeah.
And bro's jacked, man.
Which is weird, because obviously in KOTOR 1, I assume it's the same guy, because his species lives for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Because SWTOR's only 300 years later, and we know that obviously he survived Dantooine because he's at the end of KOTOR 1.
I've got him.
Oh my god.
I just don't get it. I don't get why bro is like on steroids.
I am terrified.
God, here we go.
Oh no.
Right, I'm pulling it in. Are you ready for this?
I think. What the fuck? Why is he? One, he looks more like Yoda than he does Vandar.
Those shoulders, bro.
Bro has he's been lifting up the remnants of the Endar Spire. He's gone back to Dantooine where after Malak destroyed it, and he's just been lifting up the chunks of rubble.
So
good.
Yeah, I don't know what they was thinking there. They kind of they did a better job with Vandar than they did Bastila, though.
Oh god.
I don't know what they did to her hair.
I really do think that the only character in that the only KOTOR character in that MMO that looks good is Revan, and that's it. And even then, he doesn't really look like the canon version of Revan from KOTOR 1, aside from the mullet.
Yeah, I mean, he does kind of look like Keanu Reeves, and I know you hate that.
I don't hate it. I just wish people would learn that fan cast is a dog shit idea. Because
Yeah,
it
I
is
agree with you.
not good.
I do agree with you there. Moving on, if you're happy to.
Yeah, speaking of, I feel like speaking of Revan.
Yeah, we're
we've
going
got
to talk
news.
about his glorious return in brick form.
His glorious return in brick form, where he's wearing the wrong colours.
He is. Why is bro red? We don't know.
I
But
really don't know.
he's back. And the very same day, I believe, that we announced this podcast, they dropped that trailer.
Really?
Yeah, it's Destiny, bro.
Damn.
Yeah,
Come full circle.
I'm pretty sure it was the same day. Yeah, he's back, and the choreography for those little Lego guys.
Looks good.
It looks pretty sick, bro.
When this was announced, I said to a few people, I said to my friend, I was like, the best thing they can do, and the funniest thing they can do, is don't have him talk.
Mm.
It is the best thing they could have done, I think. And I don't think he will talk just because they make that joke about like him not talking much or whatever. So not only do I not think he will talk, I think it works better that way because I personally think that when they, obviously when the KOTOR remake comes out and things like that, I think they are going to go back to Revan being genderless and not having an official gender, which I don't necessarily like just based off the fact that if you're going to have a canon timeline, your character needs to have a canon gender.
Yeah.
Same with the Exile.
I mean, Mitra Surik has
exactly.
a canon gender.
And I find it really funny how there's people that a lot of people complain about how obviously they were given official genders and things like that, and Mitra was given a real name. But I always find it funny that they direct their hatred towards the wrong thing. Everyone blames the MMO for that, and it wasn't the MMO that did it.
No.
I think the Revan novel gave Mitra a name, but it was in like 2005 or 2006 that they were given genders. So people direct their hatred at the wrong thing, but
I actually don't know where that started, to be honest. I think you probably know more than me there.
So it was either in another book that I can't remember the name of, but from what I've seen, the earliest mention of them being gendered is in the Knights of the Old Republic campaign guide, and it doesn't give Mitra a name, but it specifically addresses Revan as a man and the Exile as a woman. That's where it started. So it was a whole 5 years before the MMO even came out.
I always found it funny that in KOTOR 2, Arten's dialogue refers to Revan as a woman first, if you remember.
Yes, it does.
And then you either correct him or you don't.
Exactly.
I thought that was a weird choice because surely saying that, well, KOTOR 2 came out less than a year after the first one, didn't it?
I think it was a year. I think it was 14 months after the first one. I could be wrong there.
So maybe Revan wasn't established as a male before that game came out.
No, it wasn't. So the way it worked was when at the time the game came out, obviously he didn't have a official gender because it was an RPG. But when the character designer of KOTOR 1 was given his sort of notes for Revan, one of the notes listed is that visually he has to be androgynous because he's not meant to have an official gender, which I always found really, which I suppose is easy, because Revan's he's not particularly buff, he's not particularly tall, he just looks like a human in a suit.
Yeah, true. Very true.
But yeah, I do think with this, I have a theory. I do think with Rebuild the Galaxy, it's going to be revealed that he's voiced by Keanu Reeves. Which, fine. If this is the only time it happens in a voice role in a little Lego show, fine. Anything else? No. I remember. Do you remember when there was rumors that Revan was going to be in the Acolyte?
Was there rumors that Revan was? How?
There was
How?
rumors that Keanu Reeves had been cast in the Acolyte, and obviously everyone immediately jumped to Revan. Which my theory would have been, it would have been a holocron or a hologram. Yeah. If Keanu played Revan in the Acolyte in a cameo, I would have been fine with that as well. I don't want Revan adapted full stop because I think it's not a good idea. But also, I just don't. He's not a good pick. He's not.
Well, he's too old. He has a very distinct cadence that, I mean, although the cadence of Revan isn't an established thing outside of SWTOR, I mean, we hear him say "what" a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
What? Sure.
Which we spoke about the other day, saying that if he's going to talk in the Lego special, that's maybe what he should say. It would be funny if another character called him out for only saying that as well.
I think it would be great if, like, there's times where Obi-Wan tries to, like, ask him stuff and he just stares at him, like just doesn't say anything. But yeah, I don't think... The thing is with Keanu, like you just said, I often say, I think he's a wooden actor. He's not very... I don't think he's a bad actor, but he's a bit stiff in places.
He's John Wick or he's Bill and Ted, isn't he? He's one or the other.
Yeah, and I always say to people, as potentially dickish as this might sound, you don't want Keanu Reeves as Revan. You want John Wick with a lightsaber. That's what you want. You want Darth Malak to walk up to him on the Leviathan or a ship or the Starforge or whatever and go, Revan, should we bomb this planet? And you want Revan to turn around and go, yeah, that's what you want. You don't want Keanu. You just want that. Don't get me wrong, put Keanu Reeves in Star Wars. I think if, who played Saul in The Acolyte? I can't remember his name.
Don't put me on the spot like that. We're live, bro.
The guy from Squid Game.
Yeah. No. Let me take this, bro. This is my chance.
Do it.
Lee Jung-jae.
That's it. Thanks. I think if he turned it down and Keanu was in The Acolyte, I think he would have done a good job. I think if you couldn't get Lee Jung-jae, get the next best thing. That being said, if you're going to put Keanu in something, if it's a main live-action role, don't let it be Revan. Don't adapt Revan. Don't adapt KOTOR. Don't do such stupid things.
Yeah, you don't need to adapt something that is already so good in its original form. You just don't need to do it.
What they could have done is they could have adapted Tales of the Jedi, but they did the wrong option instead. And they took the name and they took the logo and they made a prequel TV show instead.
That Warrior says that they're taking... I know there's some leeway with the colours in Rebuild the Galaxy. I guess they have leeway with everything, don't they? They're going to have leeway with everything in the Lego show.
They have leeway in the sense that it's accurate to the Lego minifigure because the minifigure is wrong. But I'd love to ask the person who designed the minifigure, why is he red? Because he's not red.
It is a weird choice, considering there was probably looking at reference images and making this minifigure, and then they're still choosing the wrong fucking colour.
Part of me is convinced that maybe somehow they were given a picture of Revan's character sprite from KOTOR 1, where his armour is a bit pinkish in colour, but in certain lighting, especially on Korriban. And maybe they looked at that and said, oh, I'm not going to make his armour pink, but I'll make it red. But even then, it just doesn't track. I don't understand how they fucked that up that badly. Because his hands are bright red as well.
That Warrior says, who would you both think as for Revan? Unknown actor for me.
For me, Ben Barnes from, well, kids probably know him as Prince Caspian from Narnia, but
oh yeah.
I think if anyone has seen The Punisher, he's really good in The Punisher TV show. And The Punisher is why I want, spoiler alert for The Punisher TV show, it's been out for like 10 years. he's a twist villain, and he can go from really charismatic and lovable to massive evil dickhead. And I think if you're going to get someone to play Revan, he needs to be that for two reasons. One, his fall to the dark side, there needs to be a change there. I feel like people assume that Revan was always this really cold, dark side character even before he went to Malachor. He wasn't. I'd like to think that Revan was a calculating person before he turned to the dark side, but he wasn't a grumpy, evil shit. I'd like to think he was quite a charismatic and charming bloke, which is why he got people to join up to his cause in the first place.
Well, he would have
Ben
to
Barnes, Ben Barnes is the right age. He looks the part, arguably more than Keanu, in my opinion.
Is he the right age?
He's in his 30s, which is already better than Keanu, who's 61. But
dude's a pensioner.
He did. Ben Barnes did a show called Shadow and Bone. I don't know what it's about, but I think he's some sort of like dark mage or something, and he wears a black cloak and a black hood, and he uses like magical powers. So he looks like Revan in that show.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
I just think he's the best choice. It's not even close. And I also think that if you're going to cast someone as Revan, it needs to be someone who should be able to give like a speech to an army and they go and fucking fight. I cannot picture Keanu Reeves giving a speech to a military and getting them like prepped for war. I just can't see it.
Unless he's got some buried deep down acting chops that we don't know about.
I highly doubt that.
I can't see it myself.
And don't get me wrong, I love Keanu Reeves as much as I slag him off when people bring him up as Revan. I think Keanu Reeves is awesome. I think he's great. I think he's one of the few celebrities that I think is probably a good person. But he's not. I get it. So a tall Revan looks like Keanu Reeves. That is not a good enough reason to cast someone in a role, despite what Twitter seems to think.
Well, he has to come across as a strong leader, influential. He has to have a dark undertone, but also a light undertone at the same time. They have to constantly be in contrast. Revan's the type of guy that does what needs to be done, regardless of how it affects him.
That was his whole term. Despite what people, but I'm going to go into tangents about Revan at this point. Despite what people think, Revan's whole thing about sacrificing himself to the dark side, air quotes, still applies, even with the MMO and the novel. It still applies.
Yeah. I mean, that story itself, that's going to require someone to show so many layers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to say that Keanu Reeves has shown that he can do that would be ridiculous. I just don't think
he's too old. I know people say, just de-age him. No, how about instead of wasting millions of dollars on de-aging technology, you just get someone who's the right age? Yeah.
Sounds like a good idea to me, bro.
As for Rebuild the Galaxy, from what I've seen so far, that even if he's literally in that scene and that's it, because he's not on the obviously he's probably not on the poster because it was a bit of a surprise. But all we've seen in trailers as well is just that scene. If he's just in that scene, that's fine by me. And I've seen a few people say things like, "Oh, this is going to ruin Revan." First of all, lighten up. It's a fucking Lego short. There's nothing to ruin here. And also, it'd be a lot more helpful if people stopped putting Revan on like a god-level character scale in terms of power when he's not. But also, I think...
That's what makes him so cool, by the way.
Exactly, but I also think, let them have fucking fun with it, man. If they want to, like, genuinely have, like, if they want to make edgy jokes at Revan's expense, do it. Because
let's not forget that Darth Jar Jar is in the same fucking show.
Exactly, and if they want to make jokes about Revan being edgy, do it. Because, a lot of the fan base that he has is just people trying to be edgy. Like, it's true, and I think if you're gonna have him appear in something this, not in a mean way, derogatory way. If you're gonna have him being something this childish, he needs to be the butt of a few jokes, and that's fine. It's absolutely fine.
It's a Lego special, man. They poke fun at every single character. People just want something to complain about constantly.
Exactly.
I've seen a lot of people recently talk. I'm segueing a little bit here, but people talking about plot holes and what is a plot hole and what isn't a plot hole. And people dying on the hill that unexplained gaps in story is a plot hole, which it absolutely fucking isn't, by the way. It is fundamental to the fictional storytelling process. It dates back to the first film when Obi-Wan tells Luke about the Clone Wars, and George didn't elaborate on that for another 25 years, right? It doesn't mean that the Clone Wars. Well, yeah, it doesn't mean that the Clone Wars was a plot hole in the original film until it was shown to us. Do you know what I mean?
So what I'm curious about here then, what specifically has sparked this? What are people calling a plot hole specifically?
Does something ever need to spark it at this point? It seems when Star Wars news goes quiet, people just find something and run with that. You know, the grifters will grift.
That is true.
I've seen Element 7 and Darth Choco be challenged by someone who is so confidently wrong. Like the amount of confidence that people have when they're objectively incorrect never ceases to amaze. But and they're picking bad company as well to challenge there, because they're two very intelligent Star Wars fans that will absolutely school you if you don't do your homework. There was someone basically talking about how, because something wasn't explained, I think in the sequel trilogy, something wasn't explained there and then on the spot, then it becomes a plot hole. But I mean, Star Wars is littered with plot holes if you go by those rules. So I just think it's a ridiculous take.
I think I would agree with people who say that a lot of those things are there. It's like obviously what's the biggest meme out of the sequel trilogy? It's somehow Palpatine returned. And I do think a lot of people who defend that scene, maybe you're one of them, I don't know, say, it's literally explained in the next sentence. Yeah. And to that I say, yes, it's explained in the next sentence, but it's a bad explanation. And it's just not... It's
so much worse.
It was Sith cloning from fucking Star Wars. It's Sith cloning from those books nobody's fucking read. That's not that is you just going, oh shit, we need write this down, put it in the script and film it. They can't
Needless exposition is so much worse than an unexplained gap or an unexplained plot point. That forced exposition. There's a line of dialogue in The Force Awakens where Poe is like, he's leading the run to destroy the Starkiller base.
Yeah.
And he says something like, remember, as long as the sun's here, we've got a chance. It's like, they know, Poe. They was all in the mission briefing, bro. Like, these are all like trained professional pilots. Like, we saw the scene as well where you said that you don't need to remind us. That's insulting the audience. That to me is far worse than wondering, like, oh, so this must have happened off camera. Like, what's happened there? Or why is this? That to me is just, that's fiction, isn't it? That's storytelling. Yeah. That's observing a story, being given the parts of the story that you're supposed to know. They're leaving out the parts you're supposed to wonder about. That's where the wonder comes into it. And that's what Star Wars does best, man.
I do think, though, just, again, this isn't going to be, I'm not just going to sit here and shit on the Rise of Skywalker because I'm older than 12. But one last complaint about, it's not necessarily a complaint about the Rise of Skywalker. I cannot stand when people say something like, yeah, but it happened in Legends. Okay, just because it happened in Legends doesn't make it good.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. Whenever someone, I said this recently in a video in my comment section to someone said something like, like Legends is better than canon. And if you think that, you are obviously more than free to. Like my favourite Star Wars stories are all Legends, other than Empire Strikes Back. However, can we please stop pretending that some of Legends wasn't absolute bullshit?
Skippy the Jedi droid.
Force Unleashed too. But can we not act like everything in Legends was good? Because it wasn't.
I mean,
cut off the holiday special, which is technically canon now.
Palpatine's return, people will die on the hill that Disney canon sucks because Palpatine returned, and that's lazy storytelling, that's lazy writing. They should have gone with Legends, people say. Palpatine fucking came back the same way in Legends, bro. This is why I can tell that you're just hating for hating's sake. You don't really love what you're saying that you love. You're pretending to love it because it helps you hate this. Does that make sense?
And again, I hate Palpatine being brought back because, in my opinion, it was fucking lazy. It was lazy. It wasn't well thought out. Obviously, I'm biased because I've said before I'm not the biggest fan of Palpatine as a character, but
yeah,
I just think for this new era and this new trilogy, I've said this before, Kylo Ren should have been the main villain, and I think Adam Driver has said his original character was going to be a reverse of Darth Vader, so he would start off sort of on the fence, and then by the end he would have been a full-fledged villain. And I really wish that's the angle they went with, because on paper, again, we'll probably disagree, on paper, Kylo Ren is a really good idea. This is how I feel about the sequels as a whole. Good idea, not good execution. And I think as well, that is something which, because obviously I said earlier, I was someone who was online saying, Last Jedi is the worst fucking movie ever. It's not, by the way. Not even the worst Star Wars movie, but I can sit here now and say, yes, I don't like this movie. However, Last Jedi has good ideas. I just do not think they are executed very well, and I don't think they're applied to the right people. Like Luke Skywalker, I'm never going to agree with Luke in the sequels. I don't like it. But I like the idea of a Jedi Master doing that. I just don't happen to like the character it happens to.
Yeah, I understand that, man. I mean, like, disagreeing is never a problem for me. It's only ever seems to be a problem for the people that can't stand me in my comments on TikTok. Disagreeing isn't, I should say agreeing isn't a fundamental part of enjoying something together. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can disagree and you can still enjoy Star Wars together. You don't need to be against each other. And I think we're exact proof of that because, I mean, we're doing a fucking podcast together. We talk almost every day about Star Wars. There's fucking tons that we don't agree about. Tons. A lot of what you've just said I don't agree with. But I don't disagree with you in a way that I'm thinking, oh, what the fuck's he talking about? I'm disagreeing in a way that's like, oh, I see that differently. You know, I took that a different way. I like that you dislike because of this and whatever. It's part of what makes it fun.
Exactly, and obviously there's things that I disagreed with you on, mainly, obviously, the Book of Boba Fett being the main one. But I think at this point, I can't remember when I said this, I said it at some point. I said something like, if you're still, I know this might be hypocritical because I just ranted about the sequels, but I was like, if your entire personality, 6 years after they've ended, is hating the sequels, fucking grow up, man. Which, again, absolutely. I understand it's ironic. I'm wearing a Revan mask and I've got a bunch of Star Wars toys behind me. That being said, they're movies, man. Yes, they're important movies and they mean a lot to a lot of people, including me and you. But is Rey saying she's a Skywalker really the end of the fucking world? No.
It actually plays, in my opinion, and you're probably going to disagree with this as well, but that, to me, Rey taking that Skywalker name and that legacy, that fits right into me with the stories that Star Wars has always told.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, Leia and Luke showed her. I mean, we're completely getting into a topic that's not on the banners here, but
We knew
I
it would
mean,
happen.
we did. We said it would happen.
It was happening in the
Leia,
text ones.
Leia and Luke taking Rey and showing her that she can denounce this legacy that she's got in her blood and choose a new one. To me, her choosing that is more powerful than her actually being a blood relative in the Skywalker bloodline and going on to do what she does. I always say that the reason why Rey's story doesn't downplay Anakin's story is that Anakin destroyed the Sith. He brought balance to the Force. He was the chosen one. He destroyed the Sith. Rey prevented their return. Basically, if that fleet leaves Exegol, that's it for the galaxy, isn't it? It's over. I mean, they've got planet-killing weapons that by the hundreds, thousands. So if that fleet leaves Exegol, it's over. Story over. That's it. That's done. She prevents that from happening. She prevents the Sith return.
Yeah.
So to me, Anakin has still brought balance to the Force. Rey just kept it that way. There's always going to be darkness trying to return to the galaxy.
Case in point, Balin Scott. Balin, despite what people weirdly think, is a dark side user. Yes, he has these grand, morally grey plans. He's a dark side user, objective, and so is Shin. Shin is conflicted, clearly, but she's a dark side user first and foremost at the minute.
That's another episode we need to run as well, just talking all about that stuff, because I think Balin and Shin are two of the best characters that they've introduced in the past few years.
I think with Balin, yes, I do like Shin, but I think she needs a bit more to do in season 2. Because if you she dueled Sabine and she stabbed Sabine a couple of times, but I feel like Balin was so at the forefront in season 1. Shin didn't really get a lot to do. She didn't really do much. She didn't really get to have her own little. It's not that she doesn't feel like a character. It's that for the moment she might as well be an Inquisitor. For the moment, because she doesn't really have much of a character right now. But I am hoping that in season 2 she's much more developed. I kind of want it, as much as I love Balin and want more Balin, I want it to be switched where she is the forefront of the path at this point.
Well, I mean, they're not there anymore, are they? If you remember, at the end of season 1, they go their separate ways.
Oh, yeah. Balin goes in search of Abeloth, probably.
Yeah, and she's like leading this bandit crew. I mean, so it's
a bit random, but okay, we'll just have to see where they take it. But speaking of the Ahsoka as well,
yeah, go on.
The thing I wanted to talk about that I mentioned before we went live,
I was just about to mention that.
Bryce Dallas Howard is back for Ahsoka season 2. So you already
one of my favorite directors.
Already know, but I think it's 2 episodes that she's doing. They're going to be great.
Yes.
Easily.
She was one of my favorite directors for The Mandalorian.
Same.
I think the episode that she did when Bo made her first live action appearance, that was one of the strongest from season 2. And everyone always talks about like the Luke episode, the finale, and they talk about the Boba episode. But Bo's episode in that season was tremendous, and that was Bryce Dallas Howard as well.
She also did that's the episode with the really cool chase scene, isn't it? Or is that the one before?
Chase scene.
It's episode 2 because he's got the frog lady, and there's the chase scene with the Razor Crest, and they end up in the ice. That was Bryce Dallas Howard as well, wasn't it?
Yes, where the pirate drops Mando's line, I think, doesn't he? Is that right? Or is that in season 1? Am I getting my episodes
season 1, yeah. But I think in season 1, that was her episode as well.
Oh, no, because they arrive on Trask and the Razor Crest is like battered to fuck from the spider attack on the ice planet.
I'm starting to think that she did 1 episode for season 1, which was where they're on I feel like Swamp Planet is really mean. The one where they take down the ATST. I feel like that was Bryce Dallas Howard, and then I think in season 2 she did the Ice Spider episode and the Bo-Katan entry episode.
I didn't know she did the Ice Spider episode. That's cool as well. I didn't know she did that.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure I heard somewhere that she did the Ice Spider one as well. I love that we don't remember the actual titles. We're just calling them random shit.
Yeah, the Luke
Ice
episode.
Spider.
Which, the Luke episode in Book of Boba Fett, by the way, is one of the greatest pieces of Star Wars I have ever seen in my life. And how that isn't enough for you to give the Book of Boba Fett the time of the day, I'll never know.
Because,
Go on.
yes, it's mostly a solid episode of Star Wars. However, the question that I want the answer to from Dave and John Favreau is, why is it an episode of the Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, that's.
Should not be an episode of the Book of. It's one. Boba Fett isn't in it till the last 20 seconds, but also Ahsoka being there, irrelevant. Luke even being ridiculous. If that was, I've said this before, those 2 episodes of Book of Boba should have been the start of season 3 for Mando, and it would have been fine. But nope.
I agree that Grogu returning to Mando has no place being in a show that isn't The Mandalorian. But the problem of Luke having an episode in the Book of Boba Fett, I don't think is a problem with the episode. It's more a problem with the title of the show. If the show was called something that wasn't a character's name, I don't think it would be a big issue for anybody. Does that make sense?
Maybe not, but oh my God, I will never. Just why? Why?
I loved it, man. Cad Bane in that same episode as well. Tremendous.
That was probably the only thing in it. Like the thing is, I like Ahsoka meeting Luke Skywalker for the first time. Not only should that have been probably in Ahsoka,
that wasn't the meeting. That wasn't the meeting, though.
Exactly, but it's the first time we've seen them on screen, so it kind
first
of.
Time we
haven't even seen them meet for the first time. Did Luke seek her out? Did she seek Luke out? Fuck knows. Figure it out on Reddit.
But brother, always remember.
You want an explanation for these 2 pivotal characters to Anakin Skywalker meeting? Yeah, fuck you.
Bruh, always remember though, a good story for another time.
Well, can they get to it before I die?
Which is also what I'm going to say about this whole topic, because we've segued again. So let's circle back round and talk about what we're actually supposed to talk about, which is the final topic of this show, which is the £1,000 slice of Lego Death Star. What we feel
right. Do you want to go first? Because I might have more to say than you do. Mainly towards the people that want to buy this.
Do I want to go first? Well, yes, I fucking do. Let's first take a look at the product in question, shall we?
Let's take a look at the shitty product in question, and then let's take a look at the price tag that they've put on the fucking thing.
Right, so here is the thing. Bro, it looks exactly like the Death Star. I don't know what you're laughing at. That's what the Death Star looks like in the film.
Maybe. The person who designed this hunk of shit, maybe they got it wrong and they thought they were designing a Lego set of the ring from the Death Star explosion. Maybe that's what they thought they were designing instead.
Bro, look at this thing, man.
I hate it. I genuinely the
lack of effort to the back side of it. I know it's supposed to be against the wall, right? But come on. Look at that.
I will admit, first and foremost, you know this. I'm not a Lego person. I don't care about Lego. I'd rather paint Warhammer, personally. But, I'm sorry, this is fucking ridiculous.
I mean, the Lego minifigures, the option of Lego minifigures is good. Some of the features that this guy shows off in this video are really good. I love the elevator that goes straight from the bottom to the top. I love a lot of the modules in the set. But it's a fucking grand. Bro, do you know what I paid $1,000 for once? A car.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Car. My first car was $1,000.
Do you know what I paid $1,000 for?
Go on.
2 lightsabers.
Yeah, which is
I got 2 NeoPixels for the price
more
of a Lego
valuable.
Death Star.
Yep. I think I read somewhere that for the price of this set, you could get a UCS Slave One and Jabba's sail barge. UCS. I just don't get it, man. I don't get it.
I will never tell people how to spend their money. But
Don't spend it on
again, it can't be prefaced enough. 1,000 fucking dollars for the whole point. From what I've seen of the UCS series, from what I've seen of it, they're all really fucking impressive, except this one. They look awesome because they look like the ships from Star Wars, and they've been shrunk down to not to scale, but next to a minifigure, they look almost to scale. So why, with this ultimate Death Star, are you giving us less than a quarter of it? And not only that, you are asking for $1,000.
That's a hell of a point that this guy's making. They should have just advertised it as a Death Star diorama. That, along with a much, much lesser price, might have gone a long way.
And I'm sorry, I've seen people defend this and say it's fine, and I've seen them say things like, oh, if it was a sphere, it would have to be 1,500. No, it fucking wouldn't. Don't be stupid. Lego is a multi-billion-dollar company.
They would literally have to half the price to make me even think about the possibility of owning it. Half the price.
I've seen people talk about, I've seen someone say something like, it would have been cool if it was a sphere, but you had pieces that you could put on the side of it. So if you wanted it to just be a big fucking grey ball, you could, but you could then open it so it would look almost like the Death Star 2 or something. This is a fucking Barbie dream house that they want you to pay $1,000 for? What the fuck is going on at Lego?
So, the question is, Rev, when are you buying it?
I would unironically rather get $1,000 and buy hard drugs instead of getting this. At least then I could potentially have a good time.
Bro, it's show number 1.
Don't do drugs to the people watching this. But
Episode 1, first drug reference.
Damn right. I'm sorry, if you buy this, what is the matter with you?
Yeah, I seriously question people if they're going to actually not challenge this at all. They're just going to keep doing it. If people buy this, they're going to keep doing it. Toy prices are going to go up.
If you win the lottery and you like fucking wasting money, maybe you can buy 20 of these and build yourself a nice fucking sphere instead.
Do you know the flaps that are on the Lego Falcon?
Yeah.
Like to open it all up? Just do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, just, can you visualize what I'm saying there?
You cannot tell me that when designing this, they looked at it and went, okay, yeah, that's pretty good. $1,000, yeah, that's fine. And maybe people are going to be like, why is he bringing up the $1,000 point so much? Do you know things you can get for a fucking $1,000?
I got a car once, like I said.
I got two fancy as fuck lightsabers for that, and they're more functional than this piece of shit is.
It could also pay your mortgage for a couple of months. Or...
Yes, you could. The fact that that only pays for a couple of months is really depressing.
Yeah, it is.
But you could fund a short film with this.
I mean, to be nice to the set as best as we can here.
Wait, not we, you. I'm not being nice to this thing.
Well, I don't want to be nice to it either, bro. Come on, help me out. I mean,
One of us has got to take the moral high ground and say something nice about it, and it can't be me after everything I've just said. I can't take the moral high ground after making a drug reference in episode 1.
all right, okay. I'll make my best effort. If you take the Lego minifigures, they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool. That's all I've got.
Okay. If you take the minifigures, they're pretty cool. If you spend $1,000 to get them, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, you are.
I just don't understand. In my opinion, a set like this should be £400, and that is it. And even then, I've said for years at this point, Lego needs to be fucking humbled, because what they charge for what you get is ridiculous, in my opinion. Most of the stuff that they charge is not fucking worth it.
I mean, Hot Toys prices are steep, but with Hot Toys, you're getting. I mean, they're not so steep that you can't justify spending it every once in a while on like a figure or a character that you really want. But this, at the end of the day, is just a regular Lego set, but with more pieces. That's all it is. It's just more pieces of Lego.
I haven't. You know what you can get for $1,000?
Go on.
3 Hot Toys.
Yeah, that just sums it all up, really, doesn't it?
3 Hot Toys you could get for $1,000, and you'd have money left over after that as well. But the thing is, with Hot Toys as well, and I think people could easily make that comparison. The difference with Hot Toys is that, especially if it's one with a face sculpt, they are so well crafted and they are such good recreations of people, basically, and the way they're painted and the way the costumes are designed. I can justify the $300 to $500 price tag of those.
I'd rather spend
$1,000 for a fucking Barbie playhouse with some Star Wars people in? No.
The minifigures just made them up the price even further. Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, most of them are minifigures that you can get elsewhere. I'll never get down with it. I
remember when this was sort of leaked. It was a picture of someone had taken a picture of the box in a warehouse, I think, and people were saying, like, "What the fuck? It's flat." I was like, "No, it's not." Like, no. Even when this was because I remember it was rumored, because Lego gets leaked quite early, I think, and people were saying there's going to be a UCS Death Star and it's rumored to be $1,000. I was like, no, surely not. And then the actual outcome was worse than I fucking predicted.
Yeah, the slice that I was visualizing when I heard that it was going to be a slice was not as fucking, like, this isn't even a slice, is it? If someone cut you a slice of cake and it was that shape, you'd be offended, wouldn't you?
I'm not really a cake person, so if it was a slice of cake, I'd probably be okay with that.
Dark Warrior says, so are you a fan?
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to pre-order it later. But
I mean, this to me, Lego's corporate greed here is the tip of the iceberg, because companies are doing this. Hasbro are starting to do this, I think, with the backing and stuff like that, with the HasLab projects.
Yeah.
Like, you now want guaranteed millions to even put it into production. They're not willing to take that risk anymore on something that they believe in. They want guaranteed money. And if they don't get the guaranteed money, they're not even going to start making the fucking thing. That, to me, is a place that I don't want the toy industry to go as a collector. I don't want that to be the norm. Just don't. It's disgusting. It's incredibly corporate, and it's see-through as fuck.
Thankfully, Hasbro has been humbled more than a few times on their bullshit with the HasLab stuff. Because I remember it was the Rancor.
Yeah.
It was the Rancor for Marvel, and then at Marvel Star Wars, and then for Marvel, it was a Ghost Rider car or something, and people didn't like that either because it was absolute bollocks.
Well, the new LA80 only just made it, didn't it? I was very shocked when it did as well. I mean, I've got an LA80.
Wasn't going to make it.
I've got one sat right to my left here, and they're telling me with a straight face that the new one is going to be slightly bigger. And I've seen the render; it's slightly bigger, and I'm sure it's going to be more detailed and everything like that. Everything's going to be more to scale, but the price point is going to be about the cost of 5 of these ones that I've got sat next to me here. 5 times that.
I just had a thought, and maybe I'm being naive here. Do you want to know how they could easily make these HasLab vehicles worth the price and the backing? I would agree with the backing if they changed one thing.
Go on.
If these were for the Black Series and not the Vintage Collection, I would understand it a little bit more. But it's not. They're
because
for the
everything
Vintage
would be scaled
Collection.
up.
Exactly. It would be fucking... Can you imagine a HasLab Millennium Falcon? The thing would be fucking huge.
Yeah, like for the Black Series scale. Yeah, it would have to be. The cockpit itself would be like...
The size of my bed.
Yeah. I mean, I still wouldn't like that they'd do like a voting system though. I still wouldn't like that. Like, I want them to believe, like, have you seen the documentary series on Netflix, The Toys That Made Us?
I've seen it advertised.
If you haven't seen it, you should. It's really good. They talk all the time, you know, people from the industry there about taking these risks and diving into what they feel will be successful, and they fail all the time.
And I think, but I'm not going to go into a rant about the Obi-Wan show or Reva. That Reva lightsaber that HasLab they did is one of the dumbest things. Because I'm sorry, if you're going to do a big HasLab campaign over the Obi-Wan series, why are you going to do it around the character that, no offense, nobody was there for? Nobody. What I like, controversial. I like Reva for the most part. I don't like the fact that she survived, but I like Reva, and I like the idea of Reva or Reva. I don't know how you say it. But
Reva.
Thank you. But if you're going to announce a HasLab product to both, in a way, market the Obi-Wan show, and if you're going to use that show to get hype around your fancy, expensive lightsaber, which, by the way, Hasbro lightsabers suck, in my opinion, why would you do the new character no one was looking forward to? Even when the trailers came out, nobody was really talking about Reva other than, oh, fuck's sake, it's another Inquisitor. Everyone was talking about Hayden and Vader and Obi-Wan. And the Grand Inquisitor got talked about more than Reva did.
Well, I would argue...
Business, why would you do that?
I'm going to argue against the point that you've made, but also not, because I agree with you. If there was going to do any project around that show, it should be centered around Obi-Wan, or at the very least, Vader, right? I agree with that completely. On the subject of Reva, not to make another glorious segue in our point of making the fucking... We're just constantly segueing into another topic, and I love it.
That's fine.
But, Reva as a character, being a youngling from Order 66 that survived and went on to become an Inquisitor to get closer to Vader, to execute him, I think is a fucking tremendous story.
So do I. I don't like that she survives later on. I think it would have been so fucking tragic and also poetic if she failed.
If it was all in vain.
If she failed and died. I think that would have been... and the thing is as well, it would have been poetic even more because Grand Inquisitor makes that line about how they found her in the gutter or whatever. What does the Grand Inquisitor do later on? He leaves her in the gutter. And yes, that can still be applied even though she survives. But it would be so much more tragic if she died. And then when she goes after Luke later on, it's like, but Why? Are you an idiot?
Yeah, I think she's so much trying to clutch on to taking away everything she can from Vader that she's. Yeah, that was a part of the show that I actually spoke to Element 7 about, who I mentioned earlier. Just saying, like, why? Like, nowhere does Reva find out here that Luke is Vader's son. It's not said in the show.
There's no way she could have known.
No, there isn't, because she hears the hologram of is it Owen, I think, or it's Bale, isn't it? Bale Organa.
Yeah,
He says
yeah.
about if he's learned of the boy, but that's all she hears. So she goes after this boy at Owen's farm. Yeah, Owen will need help with the boy. That's what she hears. So she knows that she's going back to Owen's farm to take out this boy because he holds some relevance to Vader. And apparently that means something to her, to take out whatever this thing is that means something to Vader. But she doesn't know that it's his son. So there was a lot of people that was up in arms with that, saying like, oh, Reva's survived and she knows Vader has kids and Obi-Wan would never let this happen. Well, he kind of didn't. Reva doesn't know that that's his son. But that also begs the question why she went after him.
I think the whole end, to me, this is very well. I'm not saying this is the case. This is just how I feel. That ending with Reva felt like a rewrite, and it felt really tacked on. It's like, nah, let's have her survive instead. Why?
Yeah. I completely agree with you that.
Like, Vader is a guy. He's thorough. If you escaped him once, you're not going to fucking escape again unless your name is Luke Skywalker.
Agreed. She should have died. It serves her own story better if it's all in vain, because then later, when, you know, Luke goes on his journey, it separates him all the more from being able to get close to Vader and actually take him out. Agree with you that she shouldn't have survived. Disagree with you that she's just another Inquisitor, because I think she's the Inquisitor with the coolest story of them all. I think that's what separates her from the rest. But then I agree with you that marketing and merchandise centered around that character when you're doing an Obi-Wan show, strange decision. Very strange.
For me, the best Inquisitor for me is always going to be Trilla from Fallen Order. Trilla is probably the only Inquisitor that I love. But I don't really care for the others. I just think, I remember when that Tales of the Empire came out, and the second everyone saw the Inquisitor, they all correctly predicted that he was going to be on screen for 5 minutes and then die in a really shit way. And that's exactly what happened. Stop introducing Inquisitors. Just leave it.
They're constantly, like, it's like an obsession. I want to circle back to this
comment for a second. Bounty hunters in episode 5. Vader eventually realised by episode 5 that the Inquisitors are shit.
Probably. Probably. I want to cycle back to this comment just because it brings up the minifigures and maybe justifying the price because of the selection of minifigures. See, on the subject of minifigures, I've always wondered why they don't do like mystery packs with Star Wars minifigures, because they do it with Marvel. Have you seen them?
Yeah.
They do, like, you could just buy one. It's like £4 or whatever, £4 or £5, and it's a mystery Marvel minifigure. And I've always said I'd buy these constantly if they did Star Wars ones, because I do the Lego minifigures around the picture rail in my room.
Yes, I've seen.
Is that not a good idea, business-wise, for them to do? I don't know, like, just thinking out loud.
Maybe someone who actually knows business better than me will call me a dickhead for this. I think the reason they don't do that is because Marvel sets, one of the big selling points for Marvel sets isn't the minifigures. Whereas with Star Wars, I think one of the big selling points of Lego sets is, for some reason, specifically the minifigures. And I think Lego knows if they started doing... One, I feel like because minifigures are in obviously every Lego set, most people probably already have them, but also they know, oh, people might not. Because there are people that buy these sets just for the figures.
Yeah.
And I think they know if they started putting them in polybags or something, that they would potentially lose a market for people buying the sets.
But I think that they'd gain a market from the people that buy fake Lego minifigures. So it's kind of like win-lose. I just think it would be a good idea, but then is there a licensing issue? Are they allowed to sell just figures on their own? Because I hear somewhere that like Funko have to make the Star Wars Pops bobbleheads because they're not allowed to sell them as figures. Have you heard this?
Is that why they're all bobbleheads?
Apparently so, yeah. They don't have the license to sell Star Wars figures. Not many companies do. I think it's just like Bandai who do the Edge figure arts, I believe. Hasbro, of course, yeah. Disney themselves. Hot Toys, yeah. But Lego, I think, can only include their minifigures and sets because of that reason. That's what I've speculated anyway, as to why they're not doing these mystery bags.
It's very possible.
I feel like the micro fighters would become obsolete if they do that. That's a really good point. But the micro fighters are fucking shit, so there is that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that, as I said earlier, Lego needs humbling because a lot of my family is into Lego. My sister's like Lego. My sister's fiance really likes Lego, and they'll get these sets that aren't even that big or grand. And then it was 80 quid, and I'm like, it was fucking what? What do you mean, like 80 quid?
Yeah, I think I've got Maul's shit back there, Scimitar, and that was like £80. It was a gift from my wife, but I think that set is £80, and the ship is like, it's smaller than the old Hasbro one from the 90s. I'm just like, this is crazy. How is it smaller when it's supposed to be in scale with a smaller figure? Oh no, I guess that would make sense, wouldn't it?
The one thing that I do agree with, I'll defend Lego here, is that I suppose one justification for a lot of the prices is that with the time it takes people to build them, you at least you spent your money on something, you will at least be spending a lot of. That's a lot of the ways I justify Warhammer to my family members, is it will take me long to paint like an entire whatever, because I'm a slow ass painter. So maybe that's a factor, but again, $1,000. Headphone users are gonna fucking hate this episode.
Bro, I'd be so shit at painting Warhammer. You know, I've thought about getting into Shatterpoint or Legion. You know, the Star Wars version, and then I've thought, nah, because I know for a fact that my figures would be shit.
I disagree. Here's why I disagree. I'm about to give a TED talk. Everyone sit down. I, for many years, said the same thing about Warhammer. I was like, no, there's no way I'd be able to. And the thing is, as well, never ever look at like web pictures on the Warhammer website, for instance. Never look at those pictures and go, well, mine's a piece of shit because it doesn't look like that. Most people's don't look like that. But this will be new for the audience and maybe you, I don't know if I'm dyslexic, so a lot of motor coordination stuff for me is quite difficult at times. And
yeah, I understand dyslexia a lot because my wife is dyslexic, so I witness it on the daily.
Yeah, but dyspraxia is not dyslexia.
Did you say dyspraxia?
Yeah.
I thought you said dyslexia.
No. So dyspraxia is something where the main thing that it affects is your motor skills and things like that. So because of that, I always assumed that I wouldn't be able to paint Warhammer and stuff. And yeah, when I grab one, am I close enough? No, I'm not. But I always assumed that I'd be fucking awful at that. And for someone who's been doing it for just over a year, I'm not actually that bad at it. So I think you could very easily. You just need to. It takes patience and it does take precision, but you can do it.
I think you overestimate me, bro.
I don't think I am.
I mean, I'd have some pretty amateur-looking figures, but I guess anything that you create is worth it in the end, isn't it? And you can only get better.
The thing with Warhammer is that if you really take your time, and the thing is that a lot of newcomers might not know unless you're told, if you don't thin those paints down with a little bit of water on your palette, they're going to look shit. They will. But if you take your time and you water your paints enough and you practice, eventually you would. Like, when I first started, my first miniature for a first go was pretty good, but it wasn't great. And then my third one was way better. It all just depends how much time and effort you put into it. And I'm not a patient person. People have seen just from this episode alone that I will shout at things. But I've never once got pissed off at painting a miniature because it's more relaxing than anything. So you get used to it. And I think that I say to people often is, if my fucking dyspraxic ass can do it, literally anyone can. Anyone can.
I'm sure there will be a day.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I'm sure there'll be a day where that becomes my obsession for a few months. But
very comfortable.
The final verdict on the slice of Lego Death Star: will me and Rev be buying the Lego Death Star for £1,000? No.
I would unironically rather buy it to use as firewood than to build. I'd rather spend the grand on the box to make a nice fire in my back garden than build the fucking set. Fuck that set.
Hey, you're not alone here, bro. You've got someone that shares in your.
Hey.
There we are. But I think that's all we had to talk about on episode 1. But we did it, bro. The pilot episode.
We have a fucking podcast.
Is in the back. We have a podcast every other Sunday, 4:30. We'll be here, same places, talking about different things.
So for those who maybe want to know, I'll reiterate it because I haven't really spoken about it much. So it will be every other Sunday at 4:30 p.m. But every other Monday it will go on to Spotify. I will upload it to Spotify every Monday. So the backlog will still be on YouTube. But anyone who uses Spotify or prefers Spotify, I'll put it on Spotify Monday. Sometimes it might get pushed to Tuesday, but Monday is what I'll aim for, typically, to get episodes up.
Yes, indeed. We don't even know what the topics next week are going to be, so there's no point trying to advertise anything, because we're both kind of similar in that we make shit up last minute, and then we just run with it.
I think what we should do is, anytime we see something out in the wild on like anything, or if we get told something, we should just send each other the link or a screenshot and just put podcast.
Yeah, so we don't discuss it, because by the way, we are nightmares for this. We will discuss off stream, and then we've already talked about it.
Go back to what your wife told you last week in the car. What was that? Something about Liam Neeson and all his characters.
Yeah. I was driving with my wife in the car, and I said to her, so, who do you think would beat Liam Neeson's cast of characters in All Out Warfare? If you could pick one actor and all of their characters to fight all of Liam Neeson's characters in like an arena battle, whose characters would you choose? And she just said, save it for the podcast. So there you go.
And in the end, what ended up happening, we talked about it on the test podcast by accident.
We did. We talked about it on the test podcast, so you'll never see it. That is lost footage. We've already had that conversation, and that's probably what we'll continue to do for the next few weeks before we get the hang of saving it for the fucking podcast.
Yeah, there'll obviously there'll be points where we'll see something that's like hype as fuck, and we'll have to talk about it before the podcast, but we can still then bring it up. Because I think as well with certain things, like for example, when we inevitably get the Knights of the Old Republic remake, obviously me and you will probably talk about that as we play it. But I think if we then... So let's say, for example, it came out the day after we shot the podcast. We've then got 2 weeks to play and beat the game. I think by then our thoughts on it will have settled and we'll be able to talk about it on the podcast a bit more...
Come in to say hi to everyone. You come and say hi. Come on, we're live. There's people. Say hi, YouTube.
Hi.
That's Daddy's friend Rev. Look, you're on episode.
I now have to watch my language.
There you go. Then out you go. Don't forget your iPad.
Got it.
I love you.
Aw.
She got in episode 1. I'm sure she's been dying to do that the entire stream.
Nobody else can feel it, but my cold, dead, withered heart just sparked up just a little bit.
Oh, man. That's
But I feel like
beautiful.
I feel like if we did, me in particular, if we did an episode of the podcast the day after the remake came out, the episode would just be me being like, "Oh my god, the remake's the best thing ever." Where if it came out and we waited to talk about it, my thoughts and my hype will have settled, and I'll be a bit more coherent.
Yes. It will be better if we stew on things.
If it's bad, that's going to end up being the most expletive-filled episode we're ever going to get if it's bad. Which it won't be.
I can't imagine it will be. When is the next episode? Yes, Dark Warrior. It's in 2 weeks, my friend. 2 weeks. Also, he says guest appearances. Guest appearances will be coming to the podcast. We already have a few people in mind. I don't know if you've spoke to anyone, Rev. I have spoke to a certain someone. I won't announce yet.
I have. So this is one that I'll just say now. I don't know when she'll be on here because it has to fit with her schedule and things like that. So the person who did the artwork for the channel for our profile picture and stuff,
yes,
she will be on here at some point because not only is she one of my friends, it's basically just going to be an episode where her and Steel gang up on me for not liking Book of Boba Fett. That's what that episode will be. Oh, I have to keep the chat entertained. So one of my friends will be a guest on the podcast at some point. But I have someone in mind, but it's someone that I haven't told you because I don't want to jinx it. So it's someone that I will try and get in touch with one day to be on here. But I'm not going to say who they are. I'll only say who they are if they are either on the podcast eventually or if they say no.
But yeah, to answer the question, there will absolutely, definitely be guest appearances. Probably more often than not, because the more the merrier. And I think she's just joined the stream.
Oh, who? What?
Lizzie has joined at a good time.
Ah. How about? So, yeah. Well, Lizzie, you joined after my rant about the Lego Death Star, so you can sleep easy because me and her have constant arguments because she's constantly like, "It's good," and I'm like, "It's fucking not. It's not."
Well, there's elements to it, isn't there? There's elements, but the £1,000 price tag will never be justified.
Yeah, I like it.
And we'll leave it there.
We will, but obviously the backlog will be up for people that haven't seen it. I'll be busy tomorrow, probably. In fact, my whole rant about the Lego Death Star is probably the first thing I'm going to clip and put on TikTok. If there was ever going to be a clip from episode 1 that summed up what this podcast is really going to be, it's going to be us talking about that Death Star.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much sets the tone for what's to come on the Holonet podcast. That's episode 1 in the bags. Thank you everyone for joining us live. And if you just finished watching on the backlog, thank you for watching. Leave a comment and like if you will, and you can follow us on here, subscribe to see every time we go live. So yeah, thank you all, and may the force be with you all.
May the force be with you all indeed.
Peace.